Hi guys, Stuart Bingham here. Joe and Tom from Snooker Loopy podcast has asked me to do the chorus from the Snooker Loopy. That's our way. As you can see, I can do the Dennis Taylor and Willie Thorne version all in one go. I apologise firstly, but here goes. Snooker Loopy, nuts are we, me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Put the reds and screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Snooker Loopy, nuts are we, we're all snooker loopy.
Hello and welcome to episode 50 of the Snooker Loopy podcast. My name is Tom Mayhew and I'm joined as always by the Antrim Ferrari. It's Joe Hannard.
Well, a very good evening, Hazel. Good evening, everybody at home. And hopefully, as you are watching and listening to this, you will be hearing those very same words this afternoon as the UK Championship starts. It's been a while. It has been a while, but thank you for sticking with us. We've had lots of kind messages asking when we're back, but we are back for our UK Championship preview. How are you doing, Tom?
I am okay. The enforced break, it's just been a mixture of personal stuff going on for me, and Joe's also had stuff going on. Joe's been planning a wedding. I've kind of been doing the opposite effectively. That's been my personal life the past few months. But in the spirit of Mark Selby and Ronnie O'Sullivan, it's important sometimes to take a break for your mental health if you need it. And I do think, I was looking before the podcast, and we released more podcasts in the first 6 months of the year, or the first 7 months of the year, than we'd ever released last year. So we did work incredibly hard earlier in the year. So, me and Joe did say, maybe we probably needed a break. Maybe we were driving ourselves snooker loopy by working so hard on it.
Yes, no, absolutely. But it's good to see you back anyway, Tom. And you always have support from me, and I'm sure everybody at home as well. So good to see you back. And I'm sure. Well, what a better time to come back than when the BBC is showing snooker. That is when the proper snooker season starts. Let's be honest.
With this being, that's going to be a catchphrase, I think. Every November, people will be saying, like Captain Goodspeed, like Joe Hannard, they'll be going, this is when the proper season starts. I think that's going to catch on and people are going to be saying it.
I really hope so. I mean, a lot has happened this season already. I know you've said to me before the podcast, you've not necessarily watched as much snooker this year, but I'm sure you've sort of kept up to date with it on social media. And it's been a bit of a strange season, really. There's been some breakout stars. Kyron Wilson, as world champion, has got off to a good start to the season. He absolutely hammered Judd Trump in an earlier tournament this year. Ronnie's not played in a great amount, but Zhao Gudong has come out of nowhere. He's won his first ranking event. He's got to a semi-final of the International Championship, got to another final of the Champion of Champions, I'm not sure that was a player that we'd identified at the start of the season as somebody that could go on and do that. But I guess he's the Zhang Anda of 2024-25.
He is the Zhang Anda. It's strange, really, how similar his rise has kind of been to Zhang Anda. Both players from obviously China, both players in their 30s. I would say Zhao had more of a successful career before this. He'd at least reached the first ever All-China ranking final against Ding, but it felt like he'd never really followed that up until now, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see someone like Zhao Gudong coming through, because he's always had talent, he's always been good. It's also been nice to see Chris Wakelin breaking the top 16.
Yeah. Well, I mean, funnily enough, all of these sort of players, Sijawi has got into the top 16 as well. All these players sort of coming through has meant that Jack Jones has dropped out of the top 16. It was and Neil Robertson, who of course won the English Open earlier this season, returned to form. He's not even in the top 16. So it's a strange situation that we've got. I mean, obviously we've had the UK qualifiers this week, and because the top 16 get automatically put through to the final stages of the UK's now. After a few years ago, we had that debacle where we had Zhao Xingtong winning the tournament, Luca Bracel in the final, and neither of them were in the top 16 at that point. And I mean,
how times have changed though, because I think that was 2021.
Yeah,
and I think Sean Murphy got very annoyed at being beaten by the amateur Sijawi.
Sijawi, yeah.
Whereas nowadays, Sijawi is right up there.
He's in the top 16, yeah.
Xingtong is the amateur who could win it again. So
and Xingtong is playing Sean Murphy in the first round, which we'll obviously look at the draw very, very soon, but it is funny. But yeah, obviously that brings into the spotlight the current top 16 and who's in it. John Higgins dropped out of it earlier this season. He's now back in it. But it was really weird seeing Neil Robertson and Jack Jones in qualifying, despite reaching the World Championship final and winning a ranking event this season, and a pretty big one in the English Open as well for Neil Robertson. Really puts into perspective how bad a season he had last season and how far he dropped. But Luca Bracel on course for dropping off the tour as well at the end of the season. I mean, who knows what is going to happen in this UK Championship. And I don't know if you've seen who the sponsors are, Tom, but it's not Mr. Q this time.
No, very sad. Mr. Q sadly has lost his place as the king of the UK Championship. Yeah, I mean, I've not heard of this brand before, and I was very surprised to see the phrase Victorian Plumbing UK Championship.
Yes. We talked about before about sponsors with snooker, and I think we're reaching a bit of a new low, I've got to be honest, when we've got Dave the Plumber, who's been working since the Victorian times, sponsoring the second biggest tournament in the sport. That's a little bit worrying, I think. I mean, yeah, I've never heard of Victorian Plumbing. To be honest, they instead of Mr. Q, they could have went for the B&Q UK Championship, but
it doesn't scream modern, forward-thinking sport, does it?
It doesn't.
Victorian
no.
Plumbing.
I mean, I'm excited to see who on earth is going to be sponsoring the Masters. I mean, it might be Kev's Kitchens. It could be Wicks. It's got our name on it and all of that.
It could be Hot Tubs of London.
Well, let's hope it's Stuart Bingham's Hot Tubs. Let's hope it is that. It could be the Snooker Loopy podcast. If this podcast goes really well, it could be the Snooker Loopy podcast Masters. That would be hilarious.
People want to chip in. Maybe not the Masters. Maybe we'll start with if they bring back the Gibraltar Open. Maybe we can afford that. That's probably only about a tenner, right? It can't be that much.
Yeah, but no, it's been a crazy season so far. I've watched sort of sporadically throughout the year. Obviously, we had the Saudi Arabian Masters. That was a big one at the back end of August, where all 128 players went out to Saudi Arabia and sang its praises, and went down to a black ball final, I believe. It was 10-9, Judd Trump against Mark Williams. Very similar, actually, to when John Higgins cleared up against Mark Williams in the World Championship final a few years ago. Mark Williams was sort of 60-odd in front. John Higgins came back, won that frame. Luckily for Mark, he went on and won the next frame, but obviously wasn't to be in a decider when Judd Trump came back and done it. And, so I think it made it even better that Mark Williams won the Champion of Champions most recently. So we've had a great range of winners. Obviously, last year it was very much the Judd Trump and Ronnie O'Sullivan show, wasn't it? But this year, anybody's for the taking, I think, this UK Championship, and it's really exciting. But another bit of news, I don't know if you've picked up on this, but there's going to be a new production team doing the BBC coverage from now on. So the people that were doing it before, they'd done it for 25 years or something, since the 90s, and they've been taken over by people that produced the cricket for Channel 4 a long time ago. So from my experience of that was very good, but we could see some little changes in perhaps the scoreboards, perhaps the titles. You know, maybe Hazel isn't going to do a little walk along York and a spiel about the cold temperatures. Who knows? But yeah, just something I seen announced this week.
Well, I've got mixed feelings, because part of me is the, I like the traditional stuff, and I like it to be the same, and I like it to, have the same sort of look and same feel, and it's kind of comforting and nice. But then part of me looks at things like the snooker big heads feature, where it was just snooker players sat with big cardboard big heads of other players talking about them, and maybe I go, maybe you guys have run out of ideas. Actually, maybe we do need someone.
And when
new
we've
to
got Ronnie in a random warehouse, just I know we talked about that last year, didn't we?
Just looks at the queue and walks along. That's all he does. So,
and it's when Sean Murphy is talking about Sean Murphy, as a player, and well, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously. Do let us know if there's anything we've missed on the positive side of things. Obviously, there is other big news that we've had as well. And unfortunately, it's somebody that we've given a little bit of airtime to over the last couple of years with our little feature at the start. Snooker players singing Snooker Loopy, and Mark King has been one of those. He was one of our absolute favourites, to be fair, but he has been banned. He has been found guilty of match fixing, which is a real shame, a real shock, I think, as well, because we hadn't heard anything about that for a long time, and I know Mark King was very much in denial about it. So I have to say it was a bit of a shock when that news came through. He's been banned for 5 years.
And I feel, I think with someone like Mark King, I think there's a slightly different, for me personally, emotional reaction, because I do feel a bit, slightly an element of sympathy for someone like that who, has been a very model, decent pro for over 3 decades, over 30 years. And, he's also had problems with gambling issues that he's talked about publicly. And, it could just be a case of someone nearing the end of their career and just really panicking. And, I think that's very different from, a Bing Tao or a Xing Tong, where you would go, why would you do that? You've earned $100,000 this year. Whereas with Mark King, I can imagine there might have been more of a, oh crap, I need the money sort of element in there. So I've got, a lot of sympathy for him, because he's been a very good pro, and it's a shame that'll be a bit overshadowed by this. But we'll always have him singing Snooker Loopy in a car park.
We will. We might let that one rest for a little while for the intros of our video.
Mate, what's funny is that when the news came out he was being banned, there was a real spike in views of that clip.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
And I had comments going, I'm glad he's been banned and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why are you seeking out, of all the clips to seek out with Mark King, people seeking that one out and commented on it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, so what we need to do is wait for Stephen Hendry to be banned for match fixing, and maybe he will do our memo for us, That
would be good, yeah. Fingers crossed he's... I mean, for him to be banned for match fixing, Joe, he'd have to actually play a match.
He would have to play, yeah. I mean, I know he played in because there was another Mr. Vegas Seniors tournament in the summer, wasn't there? 900 one, and Hendry played absolutely awful in that. So he's not even playing well in the seniors now. So I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I'm going to
I
be
think
honest.
there's another 900 next month again on Channel 5.
Yes,
So
I believe over Christmas. There
nice
is
to see
also
that's,
the Macau Masters as well happening over
Oh, is
Christmas.
that back?
I think so. Don't know if it's going to be televised this year, but yeah, I know that is happening on Christmas Day itself. So yeah, all things go ahead of the next few months, and obviously, I think from this point now, every tournament that is played is usually a big one. So we've got the UK Championship, we've got Scottish Open still to go. Then after Christmas, you've got the Masters, of course. You've got the German Masters, and a new one is the World Grand Prix being held all the way in Hong Kong. So that's going to be interesting. In that big arena that they did the Hong Kong Masters a few years ago, I believe it's going to be in the same place. But one thing that's a little bit weird that they're doing this year is doing the Player Series back to back. So they've got the Grand Prix, then they've got the Players Championship, then the Tour Championship, which means obviously there's no chance for anybody outside of the top 32 to feature in those tournaments from the moment that kicks off. So yeah, that's a bit of a difference from previous years.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if that's a good decision. I just feel like it puts so much weight on that final tournament.
Well, absolutely, because I think it'll be probably the Welsh Open just before it. That tournament will be your last opportunity to get into that 32, which is a huge amount of money that you're then guaranteeing. And it's just sort of continuing this 2-class or maybe even 3-class system that we've got in snooker at the moment of the top 16, the top 32, and then everybody else. But I guess that the point is it's for the players that have featured well over the season. And a few seasons ago, the World Grand Prix was taking place in December, and that's way too early, really, to get a good picture of what's happening that season. So obviously there's pros and cons with all of this, and the players that play well will be rewarded. I guess that's what you can look at. But those are the last 3 tournaments before the World Championship. So unless you're in that top 32, there's going to be nothing for you to play from the Welsh Open onwards, which is other than the Championship League, I guess. But yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, I think snooker's a very dynamic sport in that they will make changes if things don't work. They have typically been pretty good at doing that in the past. So yeah, we will see.
Fingers crossed. I do hope it will. Hope it will do all right.
Mm-hmm.
We never know. I find it strange how much of it changes every season. Do you know what I mean in terms of when the events are? Apart from the Triple Crown, it feels like any event could really be any month. Isn't very few that feel like, oh, it's traditional for the Welsh Open to be in July or something. Do you know what I mean? Like the shootout could be in December in Swansea, or it could be in Blackpool in June. It's all over the place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's it's a funny sport like that, isn't it? But but I'm enjoying the snooker at the minute, and I'm really excited for the UK Championship. So that'll be a good one. And something else on a personal note that I've been enjoying recently, and I think you've been enjoying watching, Tom, is the return of Snooker 19 to the channel.
Joe has brought it back to his YouTube channel, and somehow it's the biggest series he's done, even though the game is 5 years old.
Yeah, I honestly do not know how that has happened. Yeah, it's back to sort of levels of, where we were at 3 years ago with that game. Well, probably 4 years ago with that game. But yeah, it's crazy how old that game is getting. But we're back, we're enjoying it, and fingers crossed we'll keep going with that. And I think with the BBC snooker events coming soon, it can only help the game. People seem to be enjoying it, so it's good to be back. It's good to be back on it. Not something I expected to say, I'm going to be honest.
are you still going to do that sneaky thing where you play through the game so that you're playing at the UK Championship on the game when the UK Championship is on? So anyone who searches the UK Championship will find the game and go, oh.
Well, no, that's not happened this time. By pure coincidence, that has happened in the past where the World Championship is lined up with the World Championship. That has...
Pure
I think it was when the original... It was actually pure coincidence.
You simmed through a whole series one time to get to the World Championship for
April. Yes, but the original final season of the career mode, which was season 5, when I worked it out about the number of episodes that I had left with it, it worked out perfectly that it would end on World Championship Finals Day if I got to the final session of the World Championship Final. So it was just pure... It felt like a perfect ending, and I think it was. And then, obviously, another couple of years passed without a snooker game, so we decided to come back for just the World Championship, and then another couple of years have passed, and now we're here. So now I'm trying to get that platinum, because there's only three trophies I need to get the platinum, but it's going to take a while to get there. So yeah, season 7 going on at the moment, Tom, and also personal Joe snooker is snooker comeback. Won the first 9 games of season 2 of my league. Unfortunately, did get beat in the 10th, but won the last one to make it 10 out of 11 so far. So it's going pretty well.
I was so excited I knocked my pop shield down. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I think what's funny about your Snooker 19 career mode is that currently you've retired as many times as Ronnie O'Sullivan has.
Yeah,
you just keep coming back.
I keep coming back, and funnily enough, I think the year in game is now 2025. So
oh wow.
Yeah,
does it tell you? It does tell you that, doesn't it?
It does tell you. Yeah.
I wonder if there's actually a limit, like if anyone's played 50 seasons or not. I don't actually know.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a video to do after I've done everything. Just keep simulating to see how long it will go on for. But there you go. So if you want to see more of that, then head over to my channel. But shall we have a look at the UK Championship draw? I know we're going to work it a little bit differently today. We're going to look at the draw first. Talk about the big matches, maybe not make our predictions at this point. Then we'll do our usual fun segments of cue the music, cue the laughter. I'll leave it up to Tom which order we do that in. And then we'll do our big prediction at the end of the video. We've got the event predictor up. I know some of you guys like getting involved in that as well, so do let us know your predictions down at the bottom. But if that's all you care about, then that will be at the end of this podcast. But yeah, shall we have a look at the draw?
Let's do it. That's a good idea, I think.
So here's one I prepared earlier, Tom. I've got it up on my screen. I hope you've got it in front of you as well. Maybe you haven't. Who knows?
No,
Who knows?
Well, I do, but I'm presuming the draw on event prediction is the same as the actual
yes.
draw?
No. Yeah, absolutely. So front and centre, I've got victoriaplumbing.co.uk UK Championship. Just in case it wasn't clear enough. But, well, shall we start with the defending champion, Ronnie O'Sullivan, taking on Barry Hawkins? I mean, that was one that jumped straight out to me of being crazy. And actually, there's a lot of big matches in this draw that could quite easily have been the final of this tournament. And it's not often we say that in round 1. But, well, Ronnie versus Barry.
Because all the a lot of the top seed players wanted the top 16 to automatically qualify, so they would be guaranteed to be at the last 32.
Yeah.
But really, now there's so much pressure on them to win the first round match that some of them could easily leave the event with no ranking points. And I mean that includes Ronnie, because Barry's not an easy opponent for anyone.
No. And Ronnie's not had a great season. He's he played pretty well in China, the International Championship. I think he got to the quarterfinal or something and lost to, was it Pang Jung-soo? But I think Pang had got 3 or 4 centuries in a row. Then he won the first 3 frames against Zhao Gudong in the Champion of Champions looked awesome and then didn't get another shot really until the decider. So I don't know where Ronnie's at. Obviously, big event. I think he'll be up for it. Barry Hawkins could quite easily go in and play perfect snooker, and Ronnie might be beaten just because Barry's brilliant. But he's got a very good record. I think he's about 18-3 in the head-to-head against Barry Hawkins. So we'll see how that prediction goes. But that's the opening match of the tournament, so that's going to be a cracker. And speaking of Zhao Guodong, he's taking on Dave Gilbert. And again, that's a big match.
Literally, probably this time, maybe a year or 18 months ago, Gilbert would be the seed and Guodong would be the qualifier. It'd be the other way around. So crazy, really. I think is it Guodong's first ever tournament as a seed?
I assume so. Well, I guess he's probably it's his. Well, he's had tournaments as a top 16 player, but not as going straight through to the knockouts, if you like.
So yeah, as we said, it's a different pressure. Especially for a player.
Which is what we seen with Zhang Anda at the World Championship, didn't we? So
well, with Rob Milkins, he seems to be a player who plays great when he's not in the top 16, and when he gets there, he falls off a cliff a bit. It's bizarre, really.
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of zip through some of the matches, we'll talk in a little bit more detail about the absolute big ones, but these are still big in their own right. I mean, Ding versus Robert Milkins. Obviously, Ding won the International Championship recently. That's a big one. Ali Carter versus Ryan Day. Two players that are good enough to be in the top 16. You've got Si Jiahui, who's, again, seeded through to the UK Championship. He's playing Wu Yize. I think that could be a cracking match. You got Mark Allen versus Jackson Page. Jackson Page definitely seems to be more consistently getting to these latter stages of the event. Mark Allen, bit of an iffy season so far. Obviously, he was world number 1 going into it, but hasn't had the best of starts to the year. So I think that could be a potential banana skin, but we'll see about that when we get to the predictions. John Higgins versus He Gukwang. No idea how you say it. Good luck to John Virgo and John Parrott saying that name. Never heard of him before. They'll just be saying he. He's had a good shot there.
But this will be like it could be like when Ding had his breakthrough, where literally the start of the tournament they were like Diong Zhongwei, and then by the time he got to the final, everyone
Ding Wei,
this young Chinese player, that kind of. So
but John Higgins, has had a decent start of the season. I think he's actually a bit of a contender for this tournament, bit of a dark horse. Zhang Anda versus Li Paifan. Luca Bracel versus Jack Jones. I mean, that's a huge one. You've got the 2023 world champion against the 2024 world championship runner-up, neither of which have had a good season. Luca Bracel's on the verge of dropping off the tour at the end of the season if he doesn't pick up results. So he needs to win that match, I would suggest, for his season. But I can't see it, but we'll see.
It's also huge for Jack Jones.
Well, yeah.
If he wants to get into the Masters,
of course.
He's going to need to win this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But huge. What's on Jack Jones's, or what's with his favour is that he's had to qualify, so he's actually got some ranking points in the bag, which he wouldn't have had he qualified in 16th. So that's a strange one, really. You've got Gary Wilson versus Michael Holt. Obviously, Michael Holt back on the tour for the first time in a few years this season, straight back into the UK Championship. You've got Chris Wakelin as a top 16 player, playing Matthew Selt. I feel like that could be a long match, that one. But yeah, I mean, all big matches. But I think those ones maybe take slightly less billing, because the next one I'm going to talk about, Sean Murphy versus Zhao Xingtong.
I thought you were going to talk about Mark Williams against Stuart Bingham.
We'll get to that. I'm going to go in order of where they appear in the draw. But
yeah, this is. I mean, Xingtong's obviously the one player everyone would want to avoid.
Yes.
It's going to be a weird situation where. Because if he has a good run here, I mean, if he wins it, it'd be mad for him not to be in the Masters, but presumably that is a possibility.
Well, I think you look at how he's played since he's returned. I think there was a Q Tour match where he got 146, 146, 147, something like that. And that's on the amateur circuit. He's playing really, really well. He absolutely hammered Ricky Walden, 2-0 down on Judgment Day, came back to win 6-2. He's had a very good run of form as Zhao Xintong, and Sean Murphy is one of those players which, he's either brilliant or he's terrible. So it depends which one turns up, but he could be steamrolled by Zhao Xintong. But I'm going to find that one very difficult to call, I think.
Yeah, didn't Xintong get 146 in qualifying? So he's...
Yeah. He's scoring really well. He's probably had more centuries than Sean Murphy this season, I would imagine, just in the last few weeks. So, yeah, we will see about that. Another one to watch, which is, again, a player that would have been in the top 16 last year, Mark Selby and Jack Lazowski.
Yeah.
Jack Lazowski, he beat Baiyu Liu, didn't he, who won 3 matches to get to Judgment Day. So those were her first victories on the tour, which is really good to see.
Yeah, well, I think we picked her out when she won the World Championship, because she won the Women's World Championship. I think she made like the highest ever break in the history of the Women's World Championship. She's only young, I think maybe 20. And so clearly, I think she is she's primed to be a very bright star of not just a women's game, but a game in general. Because without being too disrespectful to some of the female players on tour, I feel like Baiyu Liu is a step up in class already, and she's so young. So
yes,
I'd be amazed if she's not at least top 64 at some point in her career, which would be the first time that's happened. So, so she did great. Who else did well in the qualifiers? David Lilly got to the final round, Judgment Day.
Yeah, he did.
He did a good job.
Yeah, Elliot Slesser, I think, went out in the decider, didn't he? Again, he's having a decent season. I think he's in the top 16 of the 1 year list. So, he's having an okay year. Matthew Stevens, again, getting a Judgment Day. Obviously came up against Neil Robertson, who we'll talk about in a minute. But, as I say, there's a lot of players sort of coming back to form or emerging this season, which is really nice to see. So, we will see how it goes for the rest of the season. But, probably the biggest match that jumps off the screen, as much as we would love it to be Mark Williams, Stuart Bingham, I think it's Judd Trump versus Neil Robertson, isn't it? That was the final in 2020.
I was about to ask, what year were they the final that went down to the final ball, didn't it? Was that the UK Championship?
It was at the Marshall Arena. It was the COVID year, and it was where Judd Trump was clearing up. He missed the last pink. And then Neil Robertson potted the last 2 to win the title. But I was shocked when I seen that that's what the first round draw would be. Trump, obviously, incredibly consistent now, is getting to the latter stages of the tournament, which means he's very good at beating players that he should. But then he's not necessarily converting all of them into victories. So when he's coming up against top players, perhaps he's not getting those results, which is what you'd expect. So that's going to be a real interesting match, because I still don't think Neil Robertson is anywhere near his best. He nearly went out against Oliver Lyons in qualifying. It was 6-5 that it went on till about half midnight, and Robertson was a bit lucky to get over the line there, but he beat Matthew Stevens quite comfortably.
Yeah, it would be. It's crazy, really, as you say, the fact that we've so many people who they played in a final very recently.
Yeah.
In terms of ranking points, that's basically only sort of 3 years ago, really, that the ranking points would still have been a thing, or 2 years ago they would have still been a thing, actually. Even so, it's bonkers. It's like when wasn't it Ronnie against Ding in the first round or something the year after they played in the final?
Yeah,
or was it Ding? Was it Ding against Allen or something like that? It was some sort of repeat. It was
something like
that.
Round. Yeah, that might have been last year. That
it might have been when. Who did Ding win? Who did he beat in the final?
Ding beat Stephen Maguire, but Mark Allen beat Ding in the final, I think. Ding's got a very good record at the UK Championship because he got the final last year as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it's his special event for whatever reason. He seems to be apart from the World Championship, generally the Triple Crown, he's got one of the strongest records in history.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, the big one for us, Mark Williams versus Stuart Bingham. Everybody loves Mark Williams. Everybody that I speak to about snooker loves Mark Williams. Stuart Bingham, obviously, one of the most likeable characters in the sport, and for some reason seems to disappear for every tournament other than the Triple Crown events. Obviously, he won the Masters in recently. I think it might have even been 2020. Before COVID hit, and he got to the semi-finals of the World Championship. I'd not even heard the name Stuart Bingham until Judgment Day of the UK Championship qualifiers, because he's done now.
That shows that Joe hasn't been talking to me recently.
Well, absolutely. But
he's right behind you, Joe. Bingham is right behind you. I can see him on your wall.
He's right there. Yeah, he's been support. I've got Bingham's balls up there. They do keep me company. But what hasn't been happening is him winning snooker matches. But, Mark Williams has been playing pretty good stuff this season overall. Obviously got the final of the Saudi Masters, won the most recent tournament at the Champions of Champions. I think he will be a big handful in the whole tournament here. So very tough match to call, but you'd probably back Mark Williams. But Stuart Bingham, good to see him in the draw, regardless. And obviously the last match that we haven't talked about yet, world champion Kyron Wilson, having a good season so far. Stephen Maguire is his reward, and again another player that I've not really heard a lot about this season.
Well, again, just really quickly talking about the fact that Jack Jones had to qualify, and he's against Luca, but also Bingham was in the World Championship semi-finals and he had to qualify. It's crazy.
But he hasn't
really
been in the top 16. To be fair, with Bingham, he's been in the 20s for quite some time. Jack Jones actually got up to number 12 or something, I think, after his World Championship run. So, for me, it's less surprising Stuart Bingham's out of the 16 than Jack Jones. But when you see the names like Stephen Maguire, Stuart Bingham, Neil Robertson, Ryan Day, Jack Lazowski, Zhao Xin Tong, obviously Barry Hawkins, even Dave Gilbert. There's 10 players I've counted there who could quite easily be in the top 16 that I'm very surprised aren't in some way, shape or form. But because especially when you see the likes of Gary Wilson, Chris Wakelin, Zhang Anda, Si Jiawei, Zhao Gudong, all of them, even Ali Carter, all of them are in the top 16.
Before you said Ali Carter, I was going to say, what have you got against bald men and Chinese people? Because...
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, all of those players have sort of come back or got in there for the first time or come back for the first time in a long time. So it's funny. It's funny to see all of that. Even Ding's in the top 16, to add to the Chinese bias there. He was down into the 30s a couple of seasons ago. So it is just bonkers snooker at the moment, and it's nice to see, because I think for a long time it's been people who win the World Championship hang on to top 16 for so long, and I think Luca Brissell might be the last of that. I feel like now it's becoming anybody's game again, which is what we want. We don't want to go into tournaments knowing who's going to win it. And I certainly don't think anybody really that is serious will be predicting a Ronnie O'Sullivan Judd Trump final. In general, some people will, obviously, but I don't think that will be such the predicted final that it had been for so much of last season.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, in terms of the rankings, of course, it was very interesting at the start of the season. I think there was a few players who were, at the start of last season, end of last season, it was all about, is it going to be Mark Allen or Trump or Brissell? But then, as soon as, or even Wilson this year, but then as soon as Trump won the Saudi Masters, you have to just go, okay, he's going to be number one until the end of the season now, because it's so much money.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bit of a shame. I think it, I know it's always the way it's been, but it feels like it's more, I don't know, maybe it should be done on more of a regular basis than every 2 years, maybe, because, as you say, no one would say Luca Brissell has played like a top 16 player for over a year, but still, he's up there. He's going to be definitely in the Masters.
Well, he's going to be in the World Championship. The Crucible rankings, he will be at least number 5 by the looks of it, which is crazy, but then could drop after the World Championship. If he loses in the first round, he could drop out of the top 64. So
that would be hilarious, though, wouldn't it?
Well, I think it's quite likely. He's not looked convincing at all.
I don't know. I reckon
he'll probably be just about okay, but he's not going to get into the Players Series. So again, that's more money he's going to lose, unless he has an incredible run at one tournament, which I guess is all it takes. But yeah, I kind of want to see it happen. I want to see that happen. I want to see that fall from grace. Not because I've got anything against Luca. I actually quite like Luca. But it would just be hilarious to see a world champion just go plummet down the rankings and see whether he actually gets an invitational tour card or whether he has to go off to Q school.
I mean, yeah, it would be the quickest kind of fall from world champion to there probably since Joe Johnson back in the 80s.
But then again, he was still knocking about in the 90s, on the circuit. But
that's true. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah. I mean, who was the last world champion to drop off the tour? I guess it was probably Hendry. But then he retired, so
I mean, technically Ken, I suppose.
Okay, yeah.
Or.
Yeah. Ken definitely dropped off the tour, so yeah.
Ebden was going to fall off, but then he retires.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess it's Ken, isn't it? Ken was the one that would have had to go to Q school had he not been given a wild card. So, yeah.
But it shows how few world champions there have been. That it's not really been that many who aren't still about. Do you know what I mean? World champions of the past 20, 30 years, it has been dominated by either Class of 92 or Mark Selby, really. And
I think, the likes of Graham Dott, I guess, Graham Dott! I guess they're possibly the next in line to drop off the tour. But then, you've got Sean Murphy around that time, Neil Robertson, and you don't see them dropping off the tour anytime soon. So,
no.
Yeah. But that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously we've had ranking event winners drop off the tour. But not so much world champions, which I guess shows the class of player you have to be to win a world championship over any other event on the calendar. So...
Well, and also the ranking winners who dropped off, they tend to be oh, well, they won the shootout. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, or the Indian Open. Yeah.
Michael Giorgio. No one was like, but he's a ranking winner. It was like,
Yeah.
He wasn't, and I think Michael White was probably the last one who was a ranking winner of a sort of actual tournament. But as you say, I think it was A, the Indian Open, and B, the less said about him, the better nowadays. So.
Absolutely. But we'll move on from the UK Championship a bit. Shall we lighten the mood a bit with either a bit of laughter or a bit of music? I will leave it up to you, Tom.
Let's kick off with the music, shall we?
Kick off with the music. So, this is something that I've had in the bank for a long time. I've been so excited to show you this, Tom.
Look at his face.
Over the last few months, right? You'll know the likes of Stuart Bingham, Dennis Taylor, world champions that have sang Snooker Loopy for us. I have got another world champion for you that has sang Snooker Loopy.
No.
Now, who do you think it might be? I'll give you three guesses. I'm not going to tell you whether you're right, but I'll give you three guesses of who you think it might be.
Kyron.
Okay.
It's not going to be Judd, is it? He's too cool to sing. Hendry's too cool to sing. Not that Kyron's not cool, but he seems a bit more down to earth. If it's Mark Williams, that would be amazing. Or maybe I was going to go with an older one. Steve Davis.
Okay. Right. Well, I will send you the link on Discord now, which will reveal it straight away, I'm afraid.
Should I try and close my eyes and just
unless I can just send you the. Let me see, because it doesn't actually have the name of the person there. Yeah, close your eyes for now. I'm just going to send that and see what happens. Right, I don't think anything has happened. So if you click that link, you will get a nice surprise when you see it.
Oh my god, I'm just letting suspense build up a little bit. I'm just thinking about my next shot and just going over it in my head and just... No, look at him!
Was that one that you were expecting, Tom?
No, I wasn't. I didn't even know he was on there.
Well, it was just, funnily enough, it was just something I was having a little peruse and of who was new on there, and none other than the magician himself popped up, and I thought, right, I've got to get Sean Murphy to sing Snooker Loopy. So that's what I did. I did it straight. He did it straight away, to be fair. It was one of the quickest turnarounds I've ever had. He came in straight away.
He's been waiting his whole life to do this with his hands in his pockets. He's like looking like a Gary Barlow tribute act there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about that. But
have you listened to it yet?
I just checked he actually did it. I haven't listened to it all the way through. I just wanted to check he wasn't, commentating on himself, which could have been possible. But yeah, there you go. By the way, I missed out Ken Doherty when I was talking about world champions that have done this. So sorry, Ken. He's also done this.
We've got a song sung by most world champions now, I'd say.
Yeah, we just need to get Ronnie and Stephen Hendry, and then we'll have pretty much everyone. Oh no, we do have songs by Stephen Hendry because of The Masked Singer. So we just need Ronnie now. We just need Ronnie.
it wasn't Hendry. He was in character
Oh,
as
yeah,
rubbish.
yeah. Okay, fair enough. But
He refuses to sing as him. I tried to pay him twice.
yeah, I tried to pay him to just sing as Stephen Hendry, so yeah. But anyway, let's give it a go, shall we, Tom? Let's see what Sean Murphy's got to say for himself.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, Sean Murphy here. Thank you so much for the request. And let me tell you this, from one podcast to another, you can use this for your intro if you want. So if you're ready, here we go. Snooker Loopy, nuts are we, me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Pop the reds and screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Snooker Loopy, nuts are we, we're all snooker loopy.
Well, I feel like I have to just zoom in on Tom's reaction and just place that in the corner of the cue of the music. Watching you react to that was brilliant. Oh my word.
I'll say it now, Joe. That is Sean Murphy's best performance since he made a maximum at the shootout. That was incredible.
Yeah, but there you go, Tom. So I've been so excited to show you that.
That deserves a wave and a nod to the crowd. It deserves everything. That was incredible.
A fist pump. Come on.
Oh. He hit a bit when he went, pop the red and screw back. And I was like, Sean,
well,
please.
Yeah, I think that was maybe for Snooker Loopy Extra, to be quite honest with you. That little bit of cue action there, shall we call it. Yeah.
He's got a camera person doing this. It's
Well,
not
yeah.
him.
What I want to know is what on earth were they thinking while he was doing this?
Oh, I hope it was his wife or his child or something like that. Just going like, all right, fine, all right.
I mean, the longer that our hiatus went on, Tom, the more worried I got that you would have done exactly the same thing and bought Sean Murphy singing this. So I was like, I was really, crapping myself, essentially, that I would show you that and you'd go, oh my God, he's done one for me as well. But,
I'll say this, Joe, I haven't ordered that, but I'm pretty sure I will get a different cameo from Sean Murphy, because that was incredible.
Yeah, so that's on Cameo rather than Memo, just for the people that might want to get their own messages. But yeah,
And
hopefully you all enjoyed that. Eh?
And he said we can use it. What a lovely
we can
man.
use it. There we go.
Use this for your podcast. He said, oh, bless him.
Yeah. So there you go. Sean Murphy, who, of course, I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot in the next episode, about has he been finally commentating on himself winning a Triple Crown trophy, or did he go out in round one to an amateur because he's commentating in the afternoon session before his match? We'll let the viewers decide on that. But well, we're on to the small matter of ranking that, Tom, and I mean, obviously, I think it would be pretty harsh for us to be harsh on him after that performance. It was very reminiscent, actually, of the Gary Wilson one, I thought. I don't know what you thought about that, but I thought for episode 50, what better way to celebrate?
It's so much enthusiasm. It was lovely. It was brilliant. Genuinely, the fact you said he replied so quickly, I reckon he's been waiting years for someone to ask him to sing that, and he's gone, finally, this is my time.
Genuinely, obviously it's a while since I got this, but let me just see the chain of events here. So, yeah, I sent him an email, sent Cameo an email, on the 17th of August, so it was just before our last episode, this, interestingly enough. And he sent it back on... So I sent it at midnight on the 17th of August, and by 12 o'clock on the Sunday, on the 18th of August, he he sent it back. So there you go. There you go.
I mean, God, if you're an audio listener of the podcast, please do search out the video of Sean Murphy doing that, because he's got a routine. He's got everything. He's like a boy band member. It's brilliant.
He is, yeah, he is. And who knew he had that voice in him, eh? That was his audition for the next Matchroom Mob.
He's in.
Right
He's
there.
got it, mate.
He's
got
in.
it.
He's in. He's in.
When we do the Snooker Loopy podcast Matchroom Mob,
Yeah.
we'll yeah, we should try and do that. Imagine if we got the official rights to do that and did our own version.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if we ever get to do something for charity, which is never likely, because we've upset everybody on this podcast in the past.
Well, we haven't. I thought we might have upset Sean Murphy, but apparently not. So there we go. He seems all right with us, which I'm glad about, because
he's probably not listened to a lot of the podcast. Let's be honest. So he's probably not been in the depths of. I think we've always been very positive about his commentating, though. So, you know.
I think you passionately defended his choice to commentate and play.
I did. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
Kyron Wilson proved that you can commentate on a tournament and win it. So, there you go. There you go. But yeah, what are you going to give him out of 10?
I feel like I have to do. You know, when you judge Eurovision and they have different categories, they have like song, performance, staging. I think for very least staging, he needs a 10, and performance needs a 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to give him a 10. He's just got
You're
10
gonna give him
around.
a 10? Well, there you go.
Absolutely,
He gets a 10.
absolutely.
He gets a 10.
I thought it's a 10 from Tom, my new catchphrase.
Yeah. You're
would
going
you
to
give
change your name to Len, and then you
Len
can...
Ganley, the
Len Ganley,
snooker player.
of course, yes. Yeah. I mean, straight away a 10. Just he's, a brilliant sport, isn't he, all round? And yeah, I think it does take a certain amount of guts, because he knew that was going to be used as part of the podcast. I'm not sure every other. I think the only other one is Stuart Bingham, maybe, that has known that he was going to be on the podcast, because I'd sort of done it from us guys.
Yes, but I do think that both both Dennis and JV have done plenty of stupid stuff in their time, so I don't think they would have minded. So
yeah.
Well, I think the lovely thing about these video messages is people know most of the time. They know you're going to send it to someone, so they always must know there's a chance this can get into the world. So I think it's all right. I think it's fine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think absolute great sport, and had a few dance moves in there. So I think not only was it an audition for Matchroom, it was an audition for Strictly. So, I think Strictly Chris Wakelin will be having a run for his money on who is the most Strictly snooker player on the tour. But
genuinely surprised Sean's not done Strictly. He'd be perfect.
I guess because it clashes with big tournaments, doesn't it? So until he's not doing that anymore, then yeah. But
he's
that puts him.
He's got the sparkly waistcoat. He's already got it. So
he has, yeah. Oh God, can you imagine him doing the samba? Oh my word. Samba Sean.
Joe, I couldn't imagine him doing it before I watched that video, and now I can. So
well, he's definitely got the hip action for it, hasn't he? So he'll have somebody his eye out, I think. But anyway. That puts him right at the top, obviously level with the Matchroom Mob themselves, and Chris Reed, of course. Remember that one from episode 44. Those are our perfect 10s for now. The WSC intro music from World Championship 2005, that got us to a 9.75, so that was the closest one to that. And the World Final 2024 rap in at number 7. So, there's plenty of stuff in there. But the big disaster is that Everlasting Love is now down to number 9. It's nearly out of the top 10. So, and
Wow.
Fionn has officially gone down to number 10, and Ryan Walker's out of the top 10. It's sad times for those.
They could always enter again. They could release a new song,
Yeah, they could do the Romford rap instead, yeah. Oh, that's what we'll have to do. Once we've exhausted all of the snooker players on Snooker Loopy, we'll have to get them to sing the Romford rap.
Or the big break theme as well, maybe.
Oh, yes, or Hazel Irvine,
Oh, Sean Murphy singing, that would be hilarious.
Or Everlasting Love. Let's get them all to sing Everlasting Love, and eventually it might cotton on to Joe Johnson, and he might give us the CD, and we might finally get the B-side.
We can dream, mate. We can dream.
We can dream. One day that will happen. But I'm glad you enjoyed that, Tom, because that was it's been in the bank for a long time.
I mean, Joe, that is going straight in many people's bank. I think that was incredible.
Yes, yeah, and just for the hip action, I think.
Yeah.
Don't know what
evening,
bank
Sean.
it's going into, but anyway, shall we cue the laughter?
I mean, we've already queued it after that video, but sure, yeah, why not? Why not?
So, just to take a bit of a different swing on things, and keeping with previous podcasts, do you remember what we did around the time of the UK general election?
We had our own policies for how we would change snooker for the better.
Okay, well, hold that thought. Hold that thought, Tom, because here's something that popped up on my Twitter the other day, and I very nearly sent this to you, but then I decided, no, I'm going to hold it for Cue the Laughter. So if you click that link, this one does have a little thumbnail on it, I'm afraid, so a little spoiler, but...
Oh, it's Ronnie. Ronnie's manifesto. Wow.
Yeah, there you go. So this is Ronnie's manifesto for changing snooker. So, should we... I can't work out when this is from, but, Ronnie's not looking... He's not got as many greys as he has now, but he's certainly not... I'm going to say it's 2016-17 Ronnie is what I would go for.
Yeah, I was thinking it's within the last 10 years, but not too recent, but also not too old, so probably around then, yeah.
So, yeah. Have you got it?
Yeah.
Let's give it a go. 3, 2, 1.
Now getting on to my favourite subject, the numpties. Now since the game's opened up and anybody can basically turn the tour, we have to go through the numpty phase, which is 128 players coming in from round 1. Ronnie plays some fella, never seen him, didn't even know he existed as a snooker player. Turns up with a coachload of people outside because their grandson is playing Ronnie O'Sullivan. So they all come down, camera phones, pictures. It's a great day out for them. And as I'm on the practice table hitting a few balls, just as I'm about to go, and it goes, Ronnie, is it alright if you have a photo with aunt, sister and uncle? And I'm like, not really, not there, mate. I'm just about to go and play a game of snooker against your nephew. Oh, don't worry about that. We're just here having a great time, mate. And I'm like, all right, I'll have a picture for you. I'm not sure Roger Federer or Tiger Woods would get that just as about to go and play a match at Wimbledon or at the US Open. So I've come up with an idea that they should have a numpty-free zone. A bit like they have creches for children. So when you go down the gym, you go, right, kids over there, because no one really wants to hear their noise. Hasn't got to be a large area, but just please, no numpties. No selfies, no days out. Ain't a day out for me when I go and play snooker. It's a job. I take it pretty seriously. After the match is done, I'm going to give the numpties 15 minutes to take selfies. Get your phone on selfie mode. I'll take the picture, and I'll do Ronnie with the numpties. I don't mind having a bit of numpty time. I actually quite like numpties. They're quite funny, they're quite good. But not just before the match. After the match, 15 minutes for the numpties.
There you go, Tom.
Please can someone start a snooker parody band called 15 Minutes for the Numpties?
It's just one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Now, obviously, the whole numpty stuff is really like well documented, but I don't think I've ever seen that video before. And what I really want to know, because it had in the corner, this was a Eurosport thing, had in the corner Ronnie's manifesto. I want to know, are there other players with manifestos for snooker with Eurosport?
I don't know.
Can we find John Higgins's manifesto for snooker, which I assume will not be anywhere near as hilarious, but there you go. I mean, what are your thoughts on his manifesto, Tom? Would you vote for Ronnie?
I need to find out his other policies, Joe. I've googled Ronnie's manifesto, and I think there's more of this.
Oh.
So, I don't know. I'm just reading the titles, and they're bizarre. I don't know how many there are. I don't know whether there's a full... Was this on TV then? It must have been.
Yes, I believe so. 5K for a 147, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, this could be... I mean, it could be from that... Was it the Ronnie O'Sullivan show? Was that a...
I've just loaded up 5K for a 147. Shall we watch that one?
What was that? Yeah, 5K for a 147.
Oh, so yeah, Eurosport put these on things in 2017. That's when they were uploaded.
2017, there you go. Right. Have you got it up?
Yeah.
Right. 3, 2, 1.
Now, it used to be the case for a 147, you used to get paid £170,000 at the Crucible Theatre. And then for all the other tournaments, it used to be a sponsored car, like a Vauxhall Vectra or something like that. But nowadays, they want to offer you a measly £5,000. £5,000? I don't even get out of bed for £5,000. I say Barry should get his short arms in his deep pockets and start upping the wedge for a 147. Otherwise, there's going to be a few more 146s along the way. No more 147 for you guys. Maybe not even 146s. Might be little 110s, 108s. You know, something along them lines. But I say bring back the 147 pot of gold for the snooker players. What a fantastic achievement. And what great headlines. You give Mark Williams £170,000 for making a 147. Go for it, Baz.
He is absolutely bonkers, isn't he?
But these are bizarre because has he written these or has someone written them for him? It's so weird because I can't imagine him sitting down and writing this. But
I mean, it sounds very much like him. That's what's bizarre. That's what's bizarre. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it could be something we explore in a future episode. Is Ronnie's full manifesto and give it a full-on review. I didn't realise there was more videos to it, but
well, we've done the first two policies there, which were numpty free zone and Barry Hearn putting his short little arms in his big pockets.
Yeah, just really crazy, but. Yeah, I thought that might tickle you, that one.
Oh, they are funny, aren't they?
But I want to know if there's any other snooker players that have manifestos on Eurosport. We will have to investigate. And please let us know if anybody actually knows the answer to that question, because somebody will remember watching that. And they'll know whether that was part of a series or whether it was just Ronnie, which it probably was, to be honest. But I guess to finish off this triumphant return, episode 50 of the podcast, we should do our predictions for the for the UK Championship. So I'll get the draw on the screen again, just for people watching at home. And well, let's go through it. I mean, we'll try and be as quick fire as possible because we've already talked a lot about the matches. But we'll start off. Ronnie O'Sullivan versus Barry Hawkins. What are your thoughts on that?
It does depend on whether the Barbican is a numpty-free zone, I will say.
Well, luckily, Barry Hawkins, I don't think, would qualify as a numpty, so...
that's very true,
I think he'll be all right.
Do you think this manifesto is why they got rid of the 1-2-8 format for the tournament? They went, well, if Ronnie wants a numpty-free zone...
I mean, to be fair, they've done that for I mean, they've gone back to tiered draws in general now, haven't they? Even if it's not top 16 through the final round, they've at least, because Jimmy White has won a load of matches this season because he's playing players that are ranked near him, which is good. I really like that as a system. And I think that's why we've seen Bayu Lu win 3 matches. Otherwise, she'd have been playing Ronnie or something in the first round and wouldn't have necessarily had a chance. So, yeah, I mean, I think I've got to back Ronnie for this one. I think it would be a big shock if Ronnie went out in the first round.
Yeah, I will go Ronnie as well. I'd be very, as defending champion...
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if he went out and Jean Goudon against Gilbert. I would probably... I mean, that's a hard one to call. I do not quite know. Because as we've said, they're both... Gilbert was top 16 recently. Goudon's only just got into the top 16. It's one of those weird matches you get at these tournaments where the seed isn't actually that much... or even possibly at all better than the qualifier.
Yeah. I'm going to go Zhao Gudong just because he's had a few tournaments since his tournament victory to bed in. And he played well at the Champion of Champions last week. Beat Ronnie, beat Selby, beat Mark Allen. Did well against Mark Williams. So I think Zhao Gudong will get over the line there.
I'll go with Goudon as well then. I think just because the Champion of Champions, he was so good.
Yeah. Now this is a big one, Tom, because this guy's been a big feature of this episode. But I have a sneaking suspicion that both of us are gonna perhaps back the other player, but I'm torn. I just feel like I can see Zhao Xingtong winning this match.
To be fair, do you know what I mean? I think when Sean Murphy got annoyed about C, there was a bit of a backlash against Sean, but I think he'd be perfectly entitled to be very annoyed about being drawn against this level of amateur. Because it's kind of it's
wait, he won it 3 years ago, this tournament.
Yeah, so I think Sean will be well within his rights to be frustrated and annoyed by this draw.
And also, Sean was one of the most outspoken people about the whole scandal, so he's going to be... I mean, he's going to be up for it. He's going to absolutely not want to lose this match.
I think there should be a period, there should be redemption for certain players. There should be redemption for Xingtong. But personally, I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with them letting him back literally straight away as an amateur. I think if they wanted to, at the start of next season, give him a tour card, that's fine. He can play as a pro. This makes me a little bit uneasy that he's just... Because it is the thing Sean said about players playing with less pressure. And usually you'd go, yeah, that player's got less pressure, but come on, it's Victor Sarkis or someone. It's not someone great. But Xingtong, without pressure, can beat anyone. No offense to Vic... if Victor Sarkis is listening, no offense, mate. You know.
Please sing Snooker Loopy for us.
I've just remembered the champion of champions, because Igor Figueiredo, who's another Brazilian snooker player, his nickname was like the Senna of snooker.
Yes. Oh, you'll have to remember that one for the intros.
I like
dear.
it.
Oh, so come on then, Tom. Who are you going for?
I'm gonna go for the person I want to win, just because I want to see if he does a dance. Sean Murphy.
Yeah. I'm so torn. But I'm gonna keep backing Sean Murphy to do well in these tournaments until he finally wins one. So I'm gonna back Sean Murphy, only because I think he will be so determined not to lose. And I imagine Sean Murphy doesn't turn up to many matches so determined to win. So I think that's a big one. Ding Junhui versus Rob Milkins.
I mean, I'm pretty sure on Ding for this one, just because I don't think Milkins has ever turned up for a Triple Crown event and played well. He's one of those players who is good enough to be top 16, but for whatever reason, you put the cameras in front of him, whatever it is, and he seems to really just crumble a bit. I remember he really, you could see how unhappy he was with his play when he lost at the World Championships earlier this year, and I just think he's someone who he doesn't like that pressure, whereas Ding's been used to that pressure since he was a teenager, so I can't really see Ding losing that.
And Ding's got a great record at the UK Championship as well. He's been to a ridiculous number of finals there recently as well. So yeah, I'm backing Ding to win that one. Next one, Selby versus Lazowski. I'm actually going to go Jack Lazowski just because he's got a decent record against Mark Selby, and Selby, other than did he win a tournament earlier this year? I can't remember what tournament it was now, but it might be the British Open or something. When I've seen him play, he's not been doing that well, so I'm going to go Jack Lazowski for that one.
I mean, see, I have gone for the C's all the time so far.
Yeah.
I've never backed Jack Lazowski, but maybe that's what he needs. He needs someone to believe. But
you're
in
also going with all of the same ones as me so far. So.
Oh no! Well, maybe that either means the right answer or the wrong answer.
Well, if the World Championship was anything to go by, I think it's very much the wrong answer. So every time I didn't back Ronnie last season, he ended up winning. So.
Well, no one predicted the semi-finals were going to have, Kyron Wilson, Jack Jones, Stuart Bingham.
Very true.
And,
very true.
Who was the fourth one? Was it Trump? Who was the fourth one who got to the semis?
Wilson, Jones, Bingham, and Gilbert.
It was Gilbert, exactly.
Yeah.
Mad. Yeah. But what a championship! But I'm gonna have to go Selby. That's my instinct. And
you go with your gut, Tom. Go with your gut.
Yep. Go Selby.
Ali Carter, Ryan Day. I'm gonna let you decide first. I know who I'm gonna pick, but I'll let you go first.
Ali Carter.
Ryan Day. So, si jouer Wu Yiza?
I'm going to go Wu Yiza. Okay. Again, I think did these two play at the Crucible this year against each other?
Well, Wu played... Was it C? Was C in the top 16 then? Was he?
Well, because he got to the... What was it? Am I getting confused between... Because Pang also qualified, I think. Oh no, maybe it wasn't this year. Maybe it was. Okay, when did Wu qualify?
Oh, what? No, was it Judgment Day? Was it C versus Wu in Judgment Day for World Championship qualifying? Was that
Maybe
what
that's
it
what I
was?
think. Let's
And then
see.
C won that, and then played Mark Williams, didn't he?
Yes, yeah, that is right. Okay, so
Yeah.
I thought they played. So I was really worried that it was going to be like, no, Tom, that was Tepchara Nu. You're a horrible person. But no, they did play at Judgment Day. So
Yes,
they're both,
they did. Yeah. I've went
Yeah,
for C just because I really like C. I think he's a top player. So, and it seems to turn up for the big occasion. So I've gone C for that. Mark Allen Jackson Page.
Again, he's someone we've not talked about actually, but Jackson Page has had a very decent start to the season.
He's got to a lot of quarterfinals, hasn't he? And
yeah. So I'm gonna go for him here just because.
Okay. We're now
There's always
diverging with our choices because I've went for Mark Allen on that one.
Okay.
There you go. Right. We've got to try and not let our heart rule this one, but Judd Trump versus Neil Robertson.
Oh dear.
I'm going Neil Robertson, but just because I think it would be hilarious if Judd Trump goes out in round one. And I think there's a serious possibility that happens.
I'm really not sure because if it's the Neil Robertson who played against Oliver Lyons, he's not gonna get through. But if it was the Neil Robertson of Judgment Day, he's got a real chance. So
Neil Robertson did beat Trump at the Champion of Champions, and there was a few spiky comments after it as well, wasn't there, from Judd Trump, saying Neil Robertson was lucky and all of this.
Oh, more of this then, please. Neil Robertson, go on, Robbo, get those ranking points.
What it could mean is that Judd Trump is well up for it and absolutely smashes him, or it could just be that a little bit like Kyron Wilson, Neil Robertson's in Judd Trump's head. But we'll see. John Higgins versus he. I've got to go John Higgins there. I said he was a dark horse before.
Yeah, I think I'm always it's so hard to go against the class of 92 at the Triple Crown events.
It is,
and
which is why they're so adored by everybody, isn't it? So, yeah.
But I do think he is one of the, as in the player, he is one of the
not John Higgins.
But there is a sort of not a class of 92 per se, but there's a group of young Chinese players.
Players. Yeah.
Wu Yiza, he, Pang, they're all gonna break through and be,
and really trouble Dennis Taylor's pronunciation.
They'll be playing at the Crucible in their 30s, and he'll still be calling them, this young Chinese player. I guarantee it.
Yeah, well, he probably still calls Ding young, so...
I guess he's relatively young compared to Dennis, I suppose.
Yeah, true. That is true. I don't think Dennis is going to be at this tournament, just as a heads up, because they usually go for John or Dennis for these tournaments. So I think it's going to be John for this one, then Dennis for the Masters is what I've seen, but we'll see if that proves to be the case. But Zhang Anda versus Li Pai Fan. I think that this is a tough one to call because I've not seen a lot of Zhang Anda this season.
Yeah, and it's so strange, really, because someone like Zhang Anda, he was a player who'd never been in the top 64, but then somehow within 6 months he was in the top 16. And so part of you goes, surely he's the favourite. But then there's nothing to say he won't somehow effectively drop. If you can rise that quickly, you can also fall that quickly. Do you know what I mean? It's I'm not massively confident in saying this, But I do think just that experience of playing in the big events will help Zhang, and so I think I'm going to go for him just because Li Peifan, he's someone who's not got that big level experience.
Yeah, I've gone for Li Peifan just purely because there's always a couple of shocks, and I think out of all of the matches, that's maybe the one that I've spotted as possibly being a shock. So, no real logic to that one other than that. Then we've got the big one, Mark Williams versus Stuart Bingham. I have to say, I'd be shocked if Mark Williams didn't win that match. So I've gone Mark Williams, but I really want to see Stuart Bingham do well. I don't want it to be 6-2, 6-1. 6-5 on the black. That would be great. But I know Tom just can't not back Stuart Bingham.
Thought you were going to say, I can't resist Stuart Bingham.
You
And I can't,
resist
Joe.
him,
I can't.
especially in his hot
I have
tub.
to go. Oh, I have to go for Stuart Bingham in his hot tub. I just think he'll be there, and Willow's there with the towel around him, going, "Can I join Bingham?" And I just think Bingham will.
Yep.
I think I'm wary of the World Championships when everyone was sure Ronnie was going to beat Bingham, and then Bingham found some incredible form. So he's
capable, isn't he? So
he is. He can go either way, but I'd like to see Bingham. I want to see Bingham. It's unlikely now, I'd say, considering his age, but it'd be good to see him complete the Triple Crown, even though it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, but interestingly, I think he's got the easiest one to win left. Like, I know that's really hard to say about the UK Championship, but it is a tournament where we've seen weaker last 16s, weaker quarterfinals, than perhaps the other two. Obviously, the Masters is a very different kettle of fish, but yeah, if he gets on a good run, he's got every chance. And he is younger than Mark Williams, I'm fairly sure. So, if we're saying Mark Williams can still win it, then so can Stuart Bingham. So, yeah, I've gone Mark Williams regardless, and you've gone Stuart. Luca Brissell, Jack Jones. I'm going to back Jack Jones straight away there, because he's had a couple of matches in qualifying to get match sharp. Did okay at the Champion of Champions last week as well. He did win a match there, so yeah.
Yeah,
and it might have been against Luca Brissell, actually.
I'm going to go Jones as well, just because Brissell is so out of any sort of form. He's just, I don't see him winning many matches against other top players right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Gary Wilson versus Michael Holt.
You've got to go Wilson, I think, for that one.
I'm going Wilson because I'm looking at that quarter and I'm seeing a Wilson versus Wilson quarter final possibly happening. So I feel like that would be hilarious. Strictly Chris Wakelin already salted.
Do you know what? I do actually really like Chris Wakelin. He always comes across really lovely in interviews, but I'm just going to go for Matt Selt. Purely because I think strictly Chris Wakelin, again, it's that period where he's not used to being a seed.
I get you. I tell you what, though, Chris Wakelin will be very happy that he's got Matt Selt compared to who he could have had in that first round. No disrespect to Matt Selt, but he could have had Maguire, Jack Jones, Bingham, Robertson, Jackson Page, Ryan Day, Jack Lazowski, Xing Tong, Gilbert, Hawkins. I think all of them you would say, oh my God, Chris Wakelin is second favourite. But against Matt Selt, it's a bit more 50-50. I've gone Chris Wakelin just because he's having a better season.
Yeah, to be fair, he did. He got to the final of International Championship earlier this month.
He played really well as well, yeah.
He beat Higgins, he beat Gudong in the semis, so he beat Mark Williams. What what a run he had that tournament
Yeah.
with Wakeland. To be fair, so
Yeah.
who knows? He could go
He could,
very far.
he could, yeah. And then Kyron Wilson versus Stephen Maguire. As much as I like Stephen Maguire, I think Wilson has been awesome this season. Whenever I've watched him play, he's looked like a man possessed, and I think, I think he might go very, very far in this tournament, and I think now he's got that sort of monkey off his back of winning his first Triple Crown. I think he could be a real contender for every Triple Crown tournament now. But I've gone Kyron.
I'd say Luca Brissell was more of like the sort of Nico Rosberg thing of I've climbed the mountain.
Yeah.
Now I don't really care kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I think
I don't think those two have ever been compared to each other before.
They have now.
It shows the diversity of this podcast. I love it.
Whereas I think Kyron's more he's more a similar mindset to a Pep Guardiola. I think he wants to win and then win. I'm just trying to think of a different sport I can compare him to, but.
Oh dear.
But yeah, basically, I think he just seems more driven to constantly prove that he deserves to be there. I feel like he's the kind of person who wants the career Triple Crown. He wants to be world number one.
Yeah,
and
and I think to be honest, he's probably got the best chance we've seen in a long time of breaking the Crucible curse, which I know we'll talk about later down the line, because a lot of people were calling it a fluke that he won the World Championship, and he will want to prove so many people wrong with that.
But people say it's a fluke anytime it's someone who's not Ronnie or Judge, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
I think
ridiculous.
it was more because of the players he faced to get there. But you can only play the players that you play, and that's just the way it is. But right, shall we go to quickfire? Quickfire. Go on.
But even then, the year where Bingham beat
Murphy,
Sean
Trump,
Murphy
Ronnie,
in the final, and people said that was lucky, and it's like, but the players he's beat, how could that possibly?
It's very true. It's very true.
I know he's called Bull Run, but come on, no one's that lucky. So.
Right, shall we go for quick fire, one-word answers? Because we've obviously got different round two lineups and whatever. Who's going to win match 1 of round 2 for you?
Shock result for Zhao Gudon.
Okay. I'm going to keep going with Ronnie for now. Match 2?
Strictly Sean Murphy.
I'm going to go Ding.
Next one, I'm going to go with Mark Selby.
Okay. I've got Lazowski versus Ryan Day here. This would be very interesting. I'm going to go Lazowski at that point.
I mean, I've got the Selby Carter, so here we go. And then I'll go, I think for me, I'm going to go Jackson Page to beat Wu Yiza.
Okay, I'm going to go Si Jiahui to beat Mark Allen.
Neil Robertson against Higgins. Bloody hell.
I've got that as well. I'm going to go Higgins just to put that out there.
I think Higgins. Yeah, I think Higgins. Just because he's strange, because literally they were like, he's dropped out of the top 16 for the first time in 30 years. And he was back there like a week later. I think he got to like a final or a semi-final or something like that.
Yeah, and I think it was the final of of whatever tournament Mark Selby won.
Yeah.
British Open, I think it was, yeah.
I think he wants to be in there for another 30 years, so he's probably going to just...
Yeah, I mean, I think he's always up for these tournaments, isn't he? So, I'm going to go Higgins. For the next one, I'm going to go Williams.
I'm going to back Bingham to beat Ander.
Bingo, yeah. I'm going to go Jack Jones to beat Gary Wilson.
I'm going Gary Wilson to beat Jack Jones.
Ooh, and Kyron to beat Chris Wakeland for me.
Kyron to beat Reddy Selted.
Okay, on to the quarterfinals. So I've got Ronnie versus Ding. I'm going to keep going with Ding. Ronnie's going to go out in the quarterfinal.
I'm going to go Murphy to beat Zhao. I don't know whether Murphy swayed me with his lovely hips.
I think he has. He nearly had your eye out before, so you're just being careful.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Si Jiawei to set up all Chinese semi-final. On the next one.
I'm going to go... Oh, this is madness, but I'm going Jackson Page against Sean Murphy in the semi-final.
I mean, if you've called this right, you are going to win this predictor. I'm going to go Higgins to beat Williams in a class of 92 quarter-final.
I'm going to go Bingham to beat Higgins.
Oh, God. I know what he's going to do as well. I'm going to go Wilson to beat Jones in a repeat of the world final.
I'm going to go Wilson to beat Wilson, and you're going to have to guess which one I've clicked on.
You've gone for Kyron, surely.
I've gone for Kyron.
You've gone for Kyron. You haven't lost your mind that much. I'm going to go for Si Jiawei to beat Ding in the semi.
I'm going Sean Murphy to beat Jackson Page.
Good. A bit of sanity there. And I'm going to go for Kyron to beat John Higgins.
And Stuart Bingham's going to beat Kyron Wilson for me. It's going to be Murphy against Bingham in the final, a repeat of their World Championship clash. For God's sake.
And I'm going to go Kyron Wilson to beat Si Jiawei in the final, and he's going to back up his World Championship win with a UK Championship. Which, to be honest, going into this prediction, that is not who I would have picked. And that's what's really good about doing these predictions, is that I think if you go, who's going to win the UK Championship, my first thing wouldn't have been Kyron Wilson. But there you go.
I'm going to go... It's a decider, right? And Murphy's in. He's got to put one more ball to win, but he gets distracted by deciding to shake his hips a bit and do a bit of a thrust and a movement, and distracts him, and he misses the shot. And Bingham comes in and clears up and wins the championship.
Apparently, Murphy's hips do lie.
So Bingham will win, but Sean will get on Strictly. So they're both winners, really.
Everyone's a winner. So Bingham completes the Triple Crown in your universe.
Yeah.
Sean Murphy still can't win a tournament when he's been commentating on it. And Kyron Wilson has backed up his World Championship victory in mine. And what's the betting, Tom? That all three of those people are going to get knocked out in round one. That's going to happen now. We've jinxed them. We've officially jinxed them.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry.
But that was a load of fun anyway. But let us know your predictions down below in the comments. And yeah, it is just crazy how different it ends up being from your gut reaction. But yeah, that would be a cool final. Kyron versus C, or Murphy versus Bingham. Both of those I think we would love as finals, to be quite honest with you. So yeah. It'll be good for the review show in a couple of weeks' time, won't it?
Just anything but bloody Jack against Judd, because Judd would just thrash him again,
Yeah,
and everyone's going to be sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. There you have it, Tom. So there it is. That's our podcast back on the road, and yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed us being back. I've certainly enjoyed the last hour and 40 minutes that we've been recording, Tom. So thank you for coming back, and good to see you back, as I said.
This has been like a Fergus O'Brien frame, this has, Joe.
Yeah.
It's been but no, it's been good. It's been good to be back, and I'm sure we'll as we say, it's the proper start of the snooker season, and we'll get back into the swing of things. I mean, I've got other stuff I've been waiting to show and share with Joe, so we need to record more just so I can use some of this crap I've spent money on, to be honest.
Yeah, hopefully there's no cameos with Sean Murphy.
I mean, mate, I've not got your Christmas present yet, but you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we've got the Snooker Loopy Christmas special coming up in the next few weeks, so that is going to be very interesting. And we're going to have to get on that, actually.
Yeah, I've just remembered. Oh yeah, I need to order your stuff or things.
My
that I
Stephen
can find.
Hendry action figure.
If I can find a knockoff broken one for roughly a tenner, mate, I will get you.
It's brilliant.
It might just be his head on its own.
Yes, yeah.
Like a really terrifying threat. You just open the envelope, it's just his head. But yes, we will be back very soon. Enjoy the UK Championship. We'll be back probably for a recap episode once it's all said and done.
And because this episode has gone on a long time, our Fan Zheng Yi mail, I think, will postpone till the next video. So if you want to get in touch, of course, we've got our email address down below. I don't know if there's any special comments you do want to read out, Tom, because I know you were saying before that you had received some nice messages.
Oh no, we can always save them for the next episode.
Give us one. Give us one.
Give you one. Well, okay, I can give you. Oh, but these two are linked, so I'll give you both of these.
Okay.
So this was from Theon, and he said, "Is there a new Snooker Loopy episode coming out soon? I'm crying out for one. I'm getting withdrawals.
Oh wow!
At this rate, I might have to start listening to Dominic Dale again to pass the time."
I mean, I don't know if we've talked about Dominic Dale retiring on this.
We've
podcast
not got time. We've
but
not got time, Joe. We'll have to do a Dominic Dale special just for Theon.
I'll have to get a Dominic Dale big card for the background.
And Ian said, "When's the next podcast?" And I said, "Oh, hopefully it'll be out later this week." And he said, "Cool, can't wait. I'm having sweats not listening to it." So I'm sorry that so many of our fans have had such an adverse reaction to us being off air.
Well, hopefully you've enjoyed us being back anyway. So yeah, no, we do appreciate it. Do get in touch with the usual channels down below if you want to get in touch. So yeah, thanks for that. And we will read out. We've had messages from Lars. We've had messages from Alec and Peril Design as well, who we've talked about sausage related media in the past. But yes, we didn't even mention any sausages in this podcast, but plenty more for next time. But 50 episodes, Tom. 50 episodes.
Yeah.
What an amazing achievement, I think, for this little old podcast that we started on a whim a couple of years ago. So thank you very much for that. I just want to give a little shout out as well to Chinny, who we both know well from our time doing the virtual worlds, and we will try and get him on this podcast as well. But he recently did a charity event for a friend of his at his snooker club who'd sadly passed away by the time they managed to do it. And I know he raised over $2,500 for charity with that live stream. So mind-blowing stuff for Chinny. And if he is listening, then, massive thumbs up for that. And obviously we'd love to have you on the podcast at some point as well.
Yeah, his YouTube, I think, is Chinny. I think that's his YouTube. Just search Chinny Snooker and you'll probably find him on there.
And he's getting back into competitive stuff as well, isn't he? So
he is. He'll be part of the big Snooker Loopy tournament when that takes place.
With Ryan Walker and beyond.
Yep.
And Sean Murphy, apparently. Yeah.
Imagine if he rocked up, Sean Murphy, to that tournament where the winner gets like they get 50.
They get a World Snooker 2007 beer bat.
Oh well, Sean's going to be there, mate. He'll be there straight away. Now he knows
well,
that's what he's
on
playing
it, to be fair. So, yeah.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone. Let us know your predictions for the Victorian Plumbing UK Championship. Will the winner get given the trophy in a bathtub or something? I don't really know.
Well, let's hope it's not Stu Bingham, otherwise he might refuse to do it.
He goes, no, I'm not doing it. I'm all about hot tubs of London. That's what I'm about. But there we go. We won't be as long next time, and we'll see you again very soon.